You're listening to the Esoterics Podcast, hosted by Joe Figueres and Fioraliz Franco.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. We're happy you're here.
Very happy. We're very happy. How are you?
I'm doing great in this beautiful January day. How about you?
Yeah, well, it's not so beautiful here. We're in the middle of an ice storm in Portland, and I'm not talking about, sleet. I'm talking about hard ass, like 1 inch thick ice.
Crap.
That's impossible to walk on. That's the kind, right? Because we had freezing rain, and then it froze, and then it turned into rain. So now it's water on top of ice. It's really bad.
Yeah, that's the reason why we didn't live in Nebraska anymore. That's why we left Nebraska.
Was because of an ice storm?
Yes, I remember it was an ice storm. It was a snowstorm, and then my dad had tried to leave for work that morning, and he
Mhm.
walked out of the apartment building and then onto the sidewalk, and then he instantly
And he
slipped.
fell.
Yeah, and he fell. And then he walked back inside all mad, and he's like, "That's it. We're moving back to California." So
That was a genius decision. I just yeah, it's awful. I mean, I escaped this stuff in Michigan, and it only happens like once a year here, but that's too often. That's like no. Not a fan. So last weekend, I had this really cool trip with some friends to Mount Hood. It's sort of
Mhm.
been a bucket list item. Go to, a cozy cabin for the weekend in
Yeah.
Mount Hood with the snow because, I hate snow, but if I
Mhm.
have to go to snow, there's a reason for it, right?
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward to it. And we get up there Friday night, so you can't really see.
Mhm.
Wake up Saturday morning, and it was exactly what you'd hope it would be. It was there was snow. It was completely snow covered. It was
Oh.
gorgeous. It was like, I don't know, maybe it was cold though. It was. I think it was like
Sure.
20 or something degrees, which is very
Yeah,
cold.
that's very cold.
It might even have been less than that, but it was perfect for about 3 hours.
Uh-huh.
And then we lost power.
Oh, no.
All right, well, it's only one more night. We have plenty of wine and food. We have bought like a bunch of wood for the fireplace and the wood burning stove. We're gonna make do. We had flashlights and stuff like that. And the water worked because they have a water generator, or they have a generator for the water. The Airbnb did. And then so we were fine, getting ready to make lunch, and the water went out.
Oh, no.
So at that point, we couldn't pee, flush the toilet, cook, wash dishes, that sort of thing. So we called it and we said, all right, we had to get going because at this point it was like, 3:00 and it was going to get dark in like 2.5 hours. And it was like an hour drive back to Portland. So it was very disappointing. All right. So we're out cleaning off our cars. And I go to turn on my wipers and I hear ring, and the motor in my wiper motor died. So I had to drive home with no wipers in sleet and kickback, snow and stuff being kicked back on me. It was awful. Absolutely awful. I drove, it was about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I started to get scared because I couldn't see out my. So when I get scared, I get overwhelmed. And when I get overwhelmed, I start yelling at the universe because it's clearly the universe's fault, right? And I always turn to the God damn it. I follow all the rules and I help all the people and I'm in service to, I ask for one fucking thing and I just need some help.
Yes.
So all of a sudden there's a Chevron station there, right? Because I went for miles and miles and miles where there was no turn off, nothing.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, boom, there's a chevron. So I walk in and I stand in line and I'm get up to the lady and I'm like, do you have any snow scrapers? And she's like, sorry, no, they're all sold out. And then there was this guy behind me. He's like, I'll help you. And
Mm-hmm.
so he helped me. He scraped everything off. He cleaned off my car. I got back on the road. And then another, maybe, I don't know, a mile down the road, everything stopped. No sleet,
Oh.
no snow, nothing. And my windshield was clear as ice the rest of the way home. So then I was like, thank you. So sheepish, like, thanks, sorry for the blow up. Thanks.
Sorry. Sorry, I was mad. Sorry about my tone. I trust you.
Sorry, I was a dick.
Oh, well, that sucks, but I'm glad you got out of it safe though.
Yes, and I realized that that Mount Hood, a cozy, romantic, fun Mount Hood cabin in the snow, can go back on my bucket list, and this time it can include a man. so so that it's back on there then. So
Okay. All right. All right. So what's new? What's new with you aside from that?
aside from that, we got some newsletters going out to highlight the retreat.
Yeah.
Um, I've got some new jewelry that I dropped. Really, there's nothing new. This is January, right? And I'm waiting for Pluto into Aquarius, so I'm waiting for. I'm chilling. I am not trying to take on any new thing or do anything until I'm feeling that nudge that, like, okay, it's time to go. It's time to do the thing.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. I know a lot of people, I know I started off the year feeling like really energized and like ready to just take on new things and be done with last year. And I feel like that the first couple of weeks was really about like the podcast, like spiritual work and like this kind of stuff. And then this last week has been all about like my day job and that ramping up. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to feel like this is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I am hopeful for what it means, like for because I know that for me, busyness in this arena in my day job also means abundance. So you know what? I am not complaining,
No. Yeah.
not
No.
at all.
I tend to be more of a I don't want a bunch of shit going on in my life. I don't like it. I like everything to be slow and everything. But what I am feeling is that was a luxury, that,
Mm,
and now it's time, if I really want to build foundations and create structures and implement this new business model, that it's time to actually get back into it and get serious about things. And I know that's the Capricorn
yeah,
energy and the fact that I am a Cap. So um I think that I'm just sort of holding on to the last vestiges of I don't want to do anything, right, until um there's going to come a point where it's like, well, it's go time.
it's do or die. Yeah. How are
Yep.
you feeling with this the Pluto in Capricorn energy kind of tapering off?
It's good. I mean, other than my stupid motor blower
Mhm.
blowing, um like, it's good. It's slow, it's uneventful.
Mhm.
There's no hassles. I'm feeling like my intuition is keeping me from doing things that would create stress and overwhelm in my life.
Yeah.
And all of the card pulls that I've been doing, because I've been listening to Swimming Through the Void and other couple tarot readers, really tapping, because I'm in a 7 year spirit is really tapping into my spirituality. There's this is going to be a really tremendous year, and it's in an 8 year, which is about empowerment. So
Yeah.
I feel good. I am not worried about anything. And remember, I don't know if we talked about this on the pod or whatever, but I just knew in that split second that everything I need to take care of all the things that are sort of hanging over my head is
Mhm.
going to be provided for.
Okay. Okay.
What
Yeah.
about you?
I've been having some trouble with my sleep. I've noticed my sleep is different.
Ah, yeah.
Like a couple of days I've just been waking up too early, like just excessively early, like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. um times, and then I just can't get back to sleep. And I don't know if it's been like the stress of knowing that I have things to take care of with work, or more. I feel like it's the planetary energy because I'm also having really detailed, long, drawn out dreams. Um and that's also been a thing, and I've been writing them down just to kind of keep track of what it is that I'm seeing. And it's funny that I've noticed this really weird progression in my dreams. So I know I've told you this before. I've had for years these really weird dreams that involve bathrooms and bathroom
Yes.
stalls specifically.
Yeah.
And early on when I first started having these dreams, it was like I would walk into a bathroom and all the bathroom stalls were like 3 feet tall. Like
Mm.
the divider. So it's like you could just look over into whoever was, in the stall. And it was like, I have no privacy. Like,
Right.
like
Look away.
I can't use this bathroom. And then I would open a stall and it would just be a mess. It would just
Oh.
be gross. It would be dirty. It would just be disgusting. And I don't know why that was that, but those were the dreams I would
You don't know
have.
what the symbolism was with it.
I don't know why. It's harder for me to understand symbolism in my own dreams than it is for other people.
Right.
Uh, and then eventually the dreams progressed and the stalls got higher, they got taller. And then but then I would still walk into an empty stall, into a stall that was still gross and messy or out of order.
Mhm.
Um and then more recently, I have progressed into like walking into like this pristine bathroom where like the
Mm.
stalls are made of mirrors, but
Okay.
everything's super clean. And like I walk in, like, open a stall and it's like, it's so neat, it's so clean. Like, you can't wait to use it because it's perfect.
Right.
But I feel like that's so interesting that it's progressed in that way, and just to see the differences from where I was. I don't know, maybe it's like a metaphor for my spiritual life or something, or obviously some aspect of my life, right? That before was like muddled and I was like afraid to go into, and I was afraid of what other people were going to think of me, kind of thing. Whereas like now I'm in a different place where I'm like, no, it's great. It's fine. Like I can look into the mirror. You can look at I don't it doesn't bother me. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. It's definitely a metaphor, but I mean, it would be cool to get somebody who like specialized in dream
Yes.
interpretation to really look at
Yes.
that. And so if
Yeah.
there's anybody out there that anybody can recommend, please reach out and let us know or post it in a group or something because that would be cool.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, you are one of many. People have been posting in the community about having weird dreams. The Somebody
Yes.
just posted recently, and there were like a bunch of people that commented on it. And I just haven't commented. But I mean, I absolutely my dreams the last I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 nights have
Mhm.
been insane, insane, and I'm remembering them too, right?
Yeah.
And they're just
Yeah.
weird and crazy, and again, I've said this before, I always have the craziest dreams, just these
Yes.
stupid, weird, crazy dreams on
Psychedelic.
acid. Yes. I call them Salvador Dali paintings that came to
Mhm.
life. Um, but these have been less crazy and more profound, but I don't remember them, and when I do remember them, I just remember them in pieces, and I
Mhm.
don't think to write them out. But
Yeah.
they're weird, very weird.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
it have something to do with Neptune? Don't doesn't
Yes.
Neptune and
Neptune
then
is definitely.
okay, and it's what's going on with Neptune right now?
Well, I all I know is that all planets are direct right now. I
Okay,
know that. So that could be, and I believe there's some kind of square that's going on. So that in it so when remember, if we go back to the aspects
mm-hmm.
episode, it's that is just emphasizing something. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's like some kind of square with Neptune, and I'm sure that's what's doing it.
Yes. There is one of the astro apps that was shared at a recent event was the Astro Matrix. Actually, it was the Wu and A talk that we had,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and it was Astro Matrix. And
Uh-huh.
that's not the one I use. I use Sanctuary, and then I also use the one online. But what I liked about Astro Matrix, because somebody sent me a screenshot of their chart to ask a question, was that they include the current transits and aspects on the outside of the birth chart,
Oh.
which I thought was really cool.
Okay.
I was like, oh, look at that. So that tells you where it is now, where the planet is now, as opposed to
Yes.
where it is in your birth chart, which I
Okay.
thought was really cool.
I'm gonna download that right now and take a look.
Yeah, I tried to do it online, but they asked me for something, and I get really suspicious of questions that want to know like specific things, and I'm like, you don't need to know that. I'm not gonna indulge you. Or people websites that are like, accept our cookies. I'm not doing that. No, because I don't know
No,
what you're doing.
you're signing
Fucking
me up for a bunch of spam emails is probably what you're doing.
yes, or freaking data mining like Timu.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That too. I wonder if that's who's responsible for all the weird emails, stupid right-wing politics emails that I've been getting for no reason.
Yes, yeah, because you have the app on your phone, don't you?
I did. I don't anymore. But yeah, it's probably why.
You know what's interesting about that is that when I went to, because I remember you placed an order in Timu, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, Timu, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to go put it on my phone, and just something said, don't do it, don't do it. And so instead I went on my laptop and I ordered, and it
Yes.
was fine. Of course, Timu takes too long. I am now, because of Amazon, I am an instant gratification person, and if you take more than a couple days, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
So when I was going to go back and get something else that I saw on Temu, this organizer, which I really want, and they
Mm-hmm.
only have it on there. And again, I went to go put download the app onto my phone, and my gut said, "Don't do it." And so I was like, "All right, well, I'm not going to push it." And now, then I found out like a couple weeks later that they're being charged. They're being investigated by the U.S. for data mining. So
Good, good.
yeah,
Yeah, it's also unethical because they copy things from creators
yes,
and use their pictures to
yep.
sell you things that don't end up looking anything like what you actually ordered. So,
No. And there are a lot of creators that have complaints against them, and that actually have
yes.
just resorted to saying, "Hey guys, this is my design and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being compensated for it." And it's
Yep.
really sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Timu's hot trash.
Mm,
Hot trash.
seriously.
And their stuff isn't that good. Remember we ordered those
No,
mini
it's not.
decks?
It's not. It's
They
not.
were paper.
It's crap.
Yeah, they
It's
were crappy.
garbage. Anyway. Yes. Okay.
Hey, didn't you find a little shot that you can take with you anywhere and drink it whenever you need for a quick energy boost? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it's called Magic Mind and it is a tiny shot. And it just makes me more productive and more focused. And it's just so easy to take and I order them online and you can stick them in your fridge so you can have a nice cool shot. But I just find that I get more done in less time thanks to the nootropics inside. And they just really improve attention, focus, cognition.
Yeah. Okay, I need that. I like seriously need that. I feel like I am ADD, ADHD, whatever. So, what's in it?
Okay, so that's the best part because you know how I feel about mushrooms.
Yeah, I do. Yes, she loves them.
So this little shot has got lion's mane mushrooms, and that's a nootropic and adaptogen. It reduces anxiety and inflammation in the body while also supporting cognition. On top of that, it also includes cordyceps mushrooms, which is again another adaptogen, which also reduces inflammation, but it strengthens your immune system and it just supports higher energy levels.
Yeah, that's really important. I think with my pre or current menopause situation, that's what I need. So, I will get on that. Great, that's some great information.
Yeah. All right. What are we talking about today, Joe?
Today, I want to dive into the world of dark goddesses.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, in this universal 8 year,
Mhm.
it is about empowerment.
Yes.
And one of the sort of topics that I go over in my tetralogy reading is a person's divine empowerment through their Black Moon Lilith placement in their astrology birth chart.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot of sort of focus right now on empowerment. People, I think, are just feeling more empowered.
Yeah, I feel it. Mhm.
Yeah, it's just, it's a natural sort of progression within an 8 energy. So I thought, all right, one of the ways that I sort of fell into my empowerment way back when I first started working with shadow work was through the goddess um, Nyx.
Uh-huh.
And then I've also always been drawn to Kali. And so right now people are experiencing, the energy of I have to feel more empowered, or I want to feel more empowered, or what practices can I put into place to help me, address that shadow so that empowerment comes through. So I thought it would be fun to talk about, tapping into the energy of the dark goddesses and incorporating some practices in your like intuitive and spiritual. Um,
Okay.
yeah. All right.
Awesome.
All right, so let's just go over some basics. So, first off,
Okay.
known around the world by many names, the dark goddesses are Lilith, Kali, Hecate, the Morrigan. These are just a few, and they're the archetypal. How do you say that word? Archetypal?
Archetypal.
Archetypal. I made
Mhm.
it way harder than it needed to be. The archetypal dark goddess represents death, sexuality, and the unconscious. The power and energy of the dark feminine has been, it's been stripped back. It's been distorted. It's become something entirely removed from the true nature. So when you think of the dark goddess, immediately you're like evil, dark, bad, right?
Right, dark, dark. Yeah, it has
Yes,
that connotation. Mhm.
right. Because under the patriarchal paradigm of control, that we're kind of living in today, there's just been a lot of time and effort put into convincing you that light is good and that
Right.
dark is bad. It-
Mhm.
and you know how I feel about that anyway. I always get
Well, it's
all
racist.
it's it's racist. Damn it. Light equals pure, evil, holy, clean, healthy, ordered, and then dark, impure, contaminated, dirty, dangerous, chaotic, crazy. So it's just time to address that and how that shows up, and how those biases or mindsets or subconscious programming, how that shows up in your world, and
Yeah.
fucking do away with it. And one of the best ways you can do that is by working with the dark goddesses, because the dark is the taboo, right? The dark is the unwanted and the undesirable. um, and it's simply it's labeled our shadow too, right? Because
Yes.
didn't Jung say that our shadow is the parts of us that we deny or don't
Mhm.
claim, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yes.
put him in there. Okay, so let's put this in perspective. Okay, for example, let's talk about our old friend Zeus.
Oh god.
Zeus and Poseidon, they are considered light gods, right? They live in and rule Olympus,
Mm.
while their brother Hades is the dark god of the underworld.
Uh-huh.
Okay. However, like when you compare the two myths about the brothers, Zeus and Poseidon are giant dicks. They're awful. They kill people at whim. They can't
Yes.
control themselves sexually. They
Yep.
rape and molest and
Mm.
abduct
Yep.
women. They're awful. Okay.
Mhm.
But poor Hades, there's nothing like what's so dark about Hades? Why is Hades dark? All that dude does, he doesn't kill people. All
Mhm.
he does is rule the underworld. He doesn't have an evil personality. He's actually they describe him as very introverted. Um, and he just simply does his job, and that is to oversee the judgment and punishment of souls, making sure that they receive the appropriate afterlife fate based on their deeds in life. That's all he does.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Hades, he gets a bad rap. So that's a really good example of how the patriarchy has sort of created this light versus dark energy, and how it's working against poor old Hades. All right, so it's my opinion that that's probably one of the most devious tools of the patriarchy, is to sort of feed us this model of, divine feminine that's evil. And then also telling us that if we're truly women, or we truly are stepping into our divine, or we're feminine or whatever, that we have to be light, soft, receptive, nurturing, kind, and agreeable.
Mm-hmm.
I liken that to, like, people with spiritual bypassing. Only the light. You only want to be in the light and play with the
Yeah,
light, and you don't
it's
want to address the dark.
so damaging. Yeah, so damaging.
And when we agree with that, or we feel like, I'm going to bypass any sort of shadow, we're just upholding those patriarchal systems that are just designed to keep us down.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, but because we got to bring this up in every podcast, and we've done it already. Pluto into Aquarius, right?
Oh.
The world is transforming. Patriarchal structures are crumbling, and you see it in the news in the world today, in politics.
Yes.
And systems that have sort of confined us, or I don't know, oppressed us
Yes.
for a very long time, centuries, even millennia. They're sort of starting to lose their grip.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I say, so long, Pluto and Capricorn.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're able to do that is because we become more educated on it, because we learn about it, because we're able to see it and thereby see through it.
Yes, right. The next phase of human evolution, it's not going to just appear, right? All of that,
No.
that's not going to just appear. Like Fioraliz said, we have to learn about it. We have to transform ourselves,
Yep.
so that it's born through us. Again,
Yes.
8 universal year of empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, that's what brings me to the dark goddesses, right? They are deities. They are deities of power, death, destruction, but also of transformation, regeneration, and rebirth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's just a few bullet points about dark goddesses. And if you're not familiar with who they are, then we're actually going to get really, really, really comfortable and acquainted with them
Okay.
through this. But the dark goddesses are not typically beautiful, right? Although some of them are. I know Nyx is considered very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They don't depend on any male deity to provide for them or give them their role.
Okay.
A lot of the myths tell of them living on the fringes, or alone, or with animals.
Yeah.
Retreating from society. They're healers. They tend to the dead or the dying. Or they're caretakers at the very least. They may be guardians of, like, thresholds, like crossing crossroads, or between the realms of the living and the dead, right? And then some of them dwell in the underworld, or deep, inside Gaia herself. So just some examples of those dark goddesses are Kali, Hecate, Lilith, Nyx, Sekhmet, and then Pele. And I don't think we're going to talk about all of those, but we're going to talk about most of those. Working with the divine feminine, right? And so when I recently just did a post in the community, the podcast community, and I was like, hey, we're gonna talk about this today. Which ones do you work with? I just wanted to know what people worked with. And for those people that were like, I don't work with the dark goddesses, right? Because especially if you're new to spirituality, you might be like, no, I'm not going to open myself up to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not for everyone, okay? Because these goddesses are often connected with witchcraft and the underworld, death, rebirth, and transformation. So it's not for everyone. And if it's not your thing, then it's just not your thing. Honestly, it's not typically my thing, but there is one or two that I do work with. And I'm going to tell you the story of my dark goddess
Okay.
when she comes up. But what they do, what they are good for, are for those of you that are ready to focus on transformation and shadow work. They're
Mhm.
beautiful for that. They're perfect for that. They will aid you in your spiritual growth, and they will transform your life or help you transform your life in a truly incredible way. So, like our friend Pluto in astrology, the dark goddesses are going to tear down the structures in your life that no longer serve you.
Mhm.
And this is like the Tower card, right? It's always painful, but it's always for our own good. It's like Saturn too.
Yeah.
And it's also it's about transformation at an unprecedented rate when you work with the dark goddesses. And also Pluto, I live on my Pluto line. I think I've
Mhm.
mentioned that a couple times.
Yes.
All right. So, um how to connect with a dark goddess, right? So like I said, it's not for everyone, but if there's a specific goddess that wants to work with you, she will make herself known to you in ways that you can't miss. If you have a goddess oracle deck, she'll come up, or you'll see articles about her come across your feed. You'll have people mentioning her, synchronicities, signs, symbols.
Right.
Look for them.
Mhm.
I see Kali all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
So um, when this happens, it's usually during a turning point in your life when you're ready to transform or you've taken on the role of a healer in some way. So be very aware of where you are. If that's you, you might be primed for working with one of the dark goddesses. And then each of them have their own unique energy and characteristics, and the more that you work with her, you will get to know her, which is why it's best to start with just one. And again, even the way that I'm phrasing this is like, oh, this is scary and spooky, but I could take out the word dark goddess and insert spirit guide, and then it's a whole new
Right.
concept, right? So uh,
Yep.
this is the same thing as working with your spirit guides. All right, so let's take a closer look at some of the dark goddesses. Okay, so the first one is Hecate, and she's probably one of the more um, well-known.
Yeah, she's pretty popular.
So working with Hecate, that's for you when you want to reclaim your power, move beyond your unconscious fears, when you want to heal some wounds that you carry from a past life, especially if you have a past life as a witch. She's an amazing goddess to work with. And she's also really good about helping you with healthy boundaries, speaking her truth,
Yeah.
speaking your truth, finding your soul purpose and your gifts. Um, she's one of the most ancient Greek goddesses, and she was the daughter of Perses and Asteria, who witnessed the abduction of Persephone by Hades. Okay, so Hades did abduct. Okay,
Okay.
um, because Hades snatched her up and took her into the underworld, and it was Hecate who told Demeter, who was Persephone's mother, what had happened to her daughter. Right, and so then, then they get this like search for her. They grab the torches and, they go look for her. All right. So that's just the myth behind it. So Hecate rules the crossroads between the physical and spiritual planes. So if you're working on any crossroads, if you're at a crossroad in your life, she's definitely the goddess that you'll want to call in.
Okay.
She can help you illuminate your shadow self, any unconscious choices, your personal pathway. Basically, what is it that you truly want? What are you depriving yourself of? She will help you answer those questions. Her energy is like quiet, gloomy, serious, but she's also really knowledgeable. So think of her like just that really serious, knowledgeable person who's just in it. She's not all like fun. She's kind. The energy comes through as kind, but you sort of have to earn her respect and prove that you're serious.
Mm.
If you're flaky, she's not gonna. Don't work with her. So like, I would say Libras. Libras tend to be kind of flaky. Depends on your other placements too, but
Yes. Yes.
definitely. Let's see here. Witches call upon her for transformational spell work and magic, and transitions at like death and childbirth. So,
Mm.
interesting about her, she's also a psychopomp, and she acts as a guide for souls as they cross over from this life to the next.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
The next one is Lilith. Now Lilith worked with her for relationships to our sexuality, to our body.
Yes.
Lilith is one of my favorites because of Black Moon Lilith in astrology, which I'll touch on. But I do like Lilith. I don't really work with her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, eh, eh, but she's a great one for this year because she is all about, she helps us with our power and anywhere that we hold shame, right? Our
Oh,
disempowerment.
yes, yes,
She
yes.
can help heal relationships to the masculine, which is
Right.
again, Black Moon Lilith is the masculine and the feminine, and how we relate to our inner feminine power and then our gifts of our intuitive self.
Yeah, yeah. I love her. I love the story. I love her story.
Isn't it great? It's so, this is just so, the most famous myth about her states that she was the first wife of Adam long before Eve,
Mm-hmm.
and that she was made his equal, right? Divine
Yep.
feminine, divine empowerment. But
Yes.
she refused to conform and submit. She's like, fuck off.
So the detail is that when he went to lay on top of her, you know,
Oh, yeah, can you
as
tell us?
yes, that she was like, no, why do you get to be on top? We're equal.
Oh, she
And
wanted to ride cowgirl.
and he and so they argued about it, and so she left. Yeah.
She left, right, with the help of Lucifer. And she escaped to the caves of hell. So then later, God was like, well, Adam, he needs a woman. So he created Eve out of Adam's rib. So why? So she would be subservient to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of shit, right?
That's a
So
patriarchy shit.
it's patriarchy shit. So
Mm-hmm.
Lilith lived on in obscurity, but she kept her power. She kept her own power. She's like,
Yes.
I am no man's, lesser. Some myths say that she actually married Lucifer and then ruled with him, while others state that she mated with demons and became the mother of all demon kind. Which, I don't know. If she did, she did it. It was probably the demon that went to her that
Right.
was
Right.
right. Now, in Jewish folklore, Lilith is depicted as the ultimate she demon, the first ever vampire, which I think is kind of cool because I think vampires are cool. All right. So, what are her power? What's her power and her association? So, most of the stories around Lilith have a bit of a patriarchal slant,
Of
as you
course.
can,
Yes.
right?
Because they're not going to elevate a woman. Right?
No,
Like
right?
the patriarchy does not elevate women. It
That's
paints them in a certain light, usually to make them seem bad or evil or just less than or something. But yeah, you have to understand the undertones of who is telling the story.
who is telling the story, right? Patriarchy likes to paint her as the spurned woman who, after refusing to submit to both Adam and the male god, I don't know about that. I mean,
That doesn't even
does
make any
it
sense. I'm
doesn't
sorry.
make any sense?
The male god,
Of
the
course.
idea of a male god makes zero sense. It's women that bring life to earth. So
Thank you.
wouldn't it be expected that if you're attributing a sex,
Creation.
a creation to to a gender, that it would be a female?
Right. So basically, she's this spurned woman who became bitter and evil, taking out her rage on unsuspecting innocents, right? So that's sort of,
Mhm.
Lilith has that bad rap, but now we all know. We all know. And here's a really cool theory I came up with. Modern women, or the modern sort of interpretation of the story of Lilith, has become, she's like an icon of feminine freedom, of liberation and equality, because she is the goddess who refused to fit the mold and blend in, right? So what if, by doing that, it was more about her saying, you know what, well, she did, like she said, I refuse. And
Yep.
so she is the modern version of the matriarchy, I guess.
Yeah. 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 It's the woman that refuses to quote unquote submit to a
Yes,
man.
to strip back the conditioning of the patriarchal world.
Yes.
So use her when you want to, for call her in when you participate in practices that where you want to regain your personal power.
Yeah.
She's also a goddess of the moon. So when you work with the moon's phases, like new moons
Mhm.
and full moons, you're calling in her magic and invoking sort of her lunar energy.
Okay.
She also rules sex magic. So if there are those of you out there who do manifestations through sexual encounters, both personal sexual encounters, but also with a partner, she is the one that you will want to call in.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as she is there's an asteroid, a star, the hypothetical second moon, and part of the moon's orbit. They're all named after her. So
Okay.
um, these have a part in astrology, and so that's why astrologers love her. In your birth chart, this is called your Black Moon Lilith in your astrology birth chart.
Yes. Yes.
Persephone, what do you know about her?
Not much. Not much. I would say out of everyone you've listed, I think I know the most about Lilith.
All right, so she is a Greek goddess. Again, her father is Zeus, and Zeus is like, you can have my daughter. In promised her in marriage to Hades, right? Her uncle.
Gross.
God, I'm gonna stop. Anytime Zeus comes into any research, I'll be like, no, I'm not going to, because I get all mad.
I know.
All right, so anyway, she was betrothed, which is why he freaking abducted her, right? Because he saw her out in the maiden or in the meadow with her handmaidens, and he freaking opened up the ground and picked her and took her. And honestly, this is the only story where Hades is doing anything wrong. So,
Okay.
which is, it's kind of a big one, but this is the only one.
Okay.
All right. So, but here's the thing: her mother, Demeter, who is the mother of grain or the goddess of grain, she looked for her everywhere, and then she just forgot. And so crops in the fields began to fail. More of this, Greek mythology. I just think it's super interesting.
So she was the daughter of Zeus, and then
Mhm.
she was taken with Hades, and then what did she do?
So when she was in the other underworld, so she ate 6 pomegranate seeds that Hades offered to her. Well, according to the fates, when any food is consumed in the underworld, you are compelled to stay there.
Oh,
Right.
that's
Sort of the
interesting.
opposite of when you give when Harry gave Dobby a sock and Dobby was free, right? All right, I digress into Harry Potter. Okay, but Zeus, that fucker, he comes up with a compromise, which actually, this is a good thing. This is like the one good thing that Zeus did, and he's like,
Okay.
if you don't have to stay here for the whole year if you agree to spend half of the year above ground with your mom, because I think it was more the mom was like, Zeus, you better figure that shit out.
Oh, sure. So
And
split
then
custody.
yes, exactly. Right. And then the other 6 month with their husband below ground, which makes sense because honestly, Demeter could have been like, there will be no more crops to feed anybody unless you figure this out.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right, so Persephone. When working with her, you really want to be ready to move into the next stage of life, because this goddess will take you through the rites of passage that you've never ever before experienced. She helps you stand into the power that you were meant to be in this life. So very much a spiritual awakening type of energy.
Okay. Okay.
She'll help you through transitions, your personal seasons of growth. She's a great guide to call upon if you need help going through a transition.
Okay.
A lot of witches work with Persephone as one of the dark goddesses in order to learn about communication with the dead, mediumship.
Okay.
But she's known to be a little bit more strict, a strict goddess. She does have a soft motherly side, but you first have to pass her tests. So a lot of the research that I did say that ultimately she's much stronger than the myths make her out to be.
Oh, okay.
Right, because she was the one who was quote unquote kidnapped, so she does sort of seem like a victim, but what they're saying is no, she's not a victim.
Okay.
The modern interpretations of the myths about her sort of deconstruct the idea that she was a victim of her abduction.
Okay.
So what she says is, what if she went, or what they say is, what if she went willingly? What if Persephone went into the underworld to face her wounds and heal her shadow with her head held high? So, from
Right.
this perspective, she's a master of the shadow who found a way to walk the edge of light and dark.
Oh, I love that. See, that's a much better interpretation, much better perspective on the same story.
Exactly, right? So then we can call on her to help when we need help holding both our light and our dark aspects to
Mm,
start on our own shadow work journey.
okay.
When you work with a dark goddess, you really should give them an offering. Um, and so this is similar to working with your ancestors. You have
Yes.
an altar, there's a representation of the goddess on your altar, and then you have your offering. Persephone enjoys offerings of pomegranates, pomegranate juice, honey, floral tea, flowers, floral scented incense like lily or willow tree.
Hmm.
She likes dark chocolate. Butterfly or bird figurines, flower crowns. That's probably what I
Oh,
would do. And then the crystals, obsidian, black onyx, crystals or jewelry.
okay. Yeah, I can see that. That's cool. Those are, and I think it's just a matter of researching for each one because I'm sure
Yes,
there's the information is out there for
yes,
each one. Um, and I because I've also heard that there are some not relating to the dark goddesses, but there are certain deities that they don't require offerings. So that you got to tailor to each one.
yes. Anytime I've ever worked with either Nyx or Kali, I never give offerings. I don't. I have them now on my altar as like an all time. Let's work together this entire year type of
Mhm.
thing because of
Mhm.
who they are. Those are the two that I'm working with this year. So yeah, let's start with Nyx. Okay, so the story behind Nyx is that when I first through my spiritual awakening, years ago, I had a mentor, and this mentor was into like dark magic, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, I'm not about that, right?
Yeah.
And she is an asshole to this day. I don't associate with her. Like I cut ties with her. She's a vindictive asshole, and she just loved to say mean things about me to people. And so I was like, all right, well, and I was brand new and I was quote unquote scared of her abilities because she claimed to be a conjurer.
Mhm.
And I was brand new to this. And so I was like, terrified. And so I was just sort of came across this thing one day, and I kept seeing the name Nyx.
Uh-huh.
So I took Nyx into a meditation and I found out that she is a dark goddess. And she basically said, invoke me, and that sort of thing. And
Oh.
there
Oh.
was no fear around it. There was nothing, and I realized, oh, we've had a past life before. Like we've had several past lives together. Now whether
Mhm.
it was actually with the legitimate Nyx, who really, all of these goddesses are just myths, we don't know if they're real, but or if they're based in reality, but they are feminine archetypes. So
Mhm.
I did my research and I just felt more and more and more comfortable with her. And then I did a shamanic journey, and she showed up in it, walking next to me with my animal at the time, Panther. All
Oh.
right. So basically, she said, there's nothing to be afraid of. I've got you. This person has zero ability. They're all talk, blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
in real life was validated by a friend that we all know. If I say his name, everybody will. If you're in the community, you'll be like, oh yeah, who does conjure work, and he's like, you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Nyx was one of the primordial gods who emerged at the dawn of creation. So she's one of the older goddesses. She is
Okay.
the goddess of the night, and she's considered a sub or a minor goddess, which is really stupid because she's the goddess of the fucking night, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so she's the daughter of chaos.
Okay.
So, and she was also one of the most beautiful deities of all, very, very fearsome as Kali. And she
Mhm.
cast a supernatural spell of allure over both gods and mortal men. So she's as powerful as they come. Okay.
Yeah.
She is the sister to Erebus, who is the god of darkness. She's the sister to Gaia, the goddess of the earth. And
Okay.
Tartarus, who is the goddess of the underworld, who I don't believe is also Hades. I think it was, yeah, they're another god or
There's
something. I don't
different,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is the underworld. I don't know about this specific story, but from my understanding is the underworld has several layers.
Oh,
So,
yes, that's right. That's true. That's very
yeah.
true. Yes. All right. So in Nyx is also the mother of age, fate, pain, sleep, and death. So the myth is that she had these children who all represented all of these emotions, those darker emotions.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
She's a fucking badass, literally. And if you've ever worked with a goddess and you've invoked them, it's like it's the same thing as like channeling. When you channel a spirit, you sort of get this energy. You just completely understand them at the deepest levels. You're like,
Mm,
oh, there's your patience, there's your kindness, there's your thing. With her, it was all badass. And I worked with her very, very heavily for probably a year. It was to
uh-huh.
help me get over my fear of what am I opening myself up to with these abilities.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And I just want to add this in there just because I know when I first heard of like this concept, this idea of like working with a deity or like working with, whoever. And at first I was like, I don't know. That sounds crazy. That
Right.
it just sounds like it just sounds so unrealistic, right? But thanks to mushrooms,
Yeah.
I I have come to understand that all you're simply doing is you are tapping into the energy of that deity, that goddess, that
Spirit.
whoever, that spirit.
Yes.
You are
Yes.
just you are calling in their energy, and then you are then tuning into that frequency. It's like if you're a
Yes.
radio and you're turning the dial to listen to that station, you're setting yourself to that station. So and once I heard that
Hmm.
explanation, I'm like, oh, okay,
Yes.
I get that, I understand that.
Yes. It's no different than working with Jesus or working with Kuan Yin or,
Mm-hmm.
Ganesha,
Yes.
Lord Ganesha. So it's just it's interesting. It's
Mm-hmm.
very interesting because you like you said you are tapping into the frequency, but when you're we also have to remember that channeling spirit is a real legitimate thing.
Yeah.
And so when we feel the energy of this spirit and we feel the love and the protection and the empowerment and we feel their affection,
Yeah.
um, is it our higher self that we're feeling? Is it some random spirit that's supposed to make us feel these amazing things? Or,
Mm,
because like I said, these are archetypes. We don't know if these
yes.
goddesses, we don't, for real. I mean, to break it down, we don't know if Jesus exists, right? We don't know. We have no
Mm,
proof. We have
sure.
faith.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right. So, how would you work with Nyx? So she can help you master the prophetic arts, right? Your clairvoyance, claircognizance, telepathy, all that stuff. She's
Mhm.
known to help practitioners with divination practices and tools. And this is when I first started getting into divination, like
Mhm.
tarot, pendulum, crystal ball work, mirror scrying, meditation, all that stuff. She's a
Yes.
wonderful teacher of astrology and the moon, and she's a favorite of astrologers too.
Okay.
If you want to boost your intuition, call in Nyx to help you tap into the wisdom and knowledge that originates in the shadow, right? Or prophesizing.
Yeah.
The Greeks made her a mistress of the underworld, where to this day she remains like a guide on personal journeys through the shadow, shamanic journeys, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
She's really wonderful to help with ancestral work, veneration, connection, and healing work too.
Okay.
Let's see. Generally, her energy comes through. Nyx is a gentle goddess who shows you that balancing your light and dark is necessary and that not all dark things are bad. All right,
Okay.
so just a backstory is that we were in this group with this person and then like five other people. One of the person that I can name that was in this group that won't mind me naming her is Kathy Hargrove, like
Mhm.
one of the
Yes.
original founders. Um, and so we were all in this group and everybody was like, well, we're going to do this and this and this. It was just more like a circle that we all just got together to practice, our
Yeah.
intuition.
Yeah.
And this person mentioned bringing in this other person that I didn't know. And they said, she is into the dark. And something in me triggered. And I was like, no, they are not allowed in this group. And so that caused a big, disruption. And then I
Yeah.
ultimately left the group within like a day or so.
Mhm.
But what it did was it triggered me that it was time for me to learn to embrace the darkness.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's when Nyx came in, and she's like, "Girl," she's like, "there's nothing wrong with the dark. Let me help you and introduce it to you, a little bit in the shadow and everything." So,
Yeah.
all right. So to call her in, you can make offerings to her. She loves incense, candlelight, wine, music, poppy seeds or fresh poppies, dark chocolate, night blooming flowers, stones like black tourmaline, onyx, and obsidian too.
Hmm. Yeah. And obsidian is such a powerful stone.
It's amazing. I have a little bottle, a tiny little vial of red wine for her on my altar, and I have incense. So she is red
Hmm.
wine and incense. That's what my offering for her is.
Okay.
Let me see, how many more do we have? We just have two more. We have, the next one is Kali. Kali is another dark goddess that I work with. She keeps showing up in my life. I've never sought her out. It's just she comes up in all of the Capricorn readings all the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
She's a badass. I think that she's the most badass of all of the goddesses because she bites off men's penises and eats them. She's like snake. This dark goddess brings a high level spiritual awakening into your life. So that's another reason why she pops up a lot for those that are awakening. Like when you up level, that's Kali. Basically, she strips you of your ego attachments and helps you eliminate any of the stories of negative programming that you hold within.
Okay.
Absolutely essential for an up level.
Yeah.
She's probably the best known dark goddess. I know I said Hecate probably was, but now I think it's Kali. And she's an ancient and terrifying deity from the Indian pantheon who transformed herself in order to fight a demon that no other god would touch.
Hmm.
Kali is portrayed as a blue woman with many arms, I think like 8 arms.
Yes.
She has sharp teeth, a long red tongue that hangs out of her mouth, a necklace of skulls, and a skirt. I love this. A skirt made of the limbs of her enemies. Who doesn't want clothing made from the body parts of their enemies?
um.
Her Hindu myths tell of her becoming so drunk from drinking the blood of the demon she'd just slain that she rampaged across the battlefield, killing everything in sight. So she's a mean drunk, y'all. She is wild, destructive, and chaotic, yet her true purpose is to purge the land and cleanse the earth of evil.
And it's actually it's spelled Kali, right?
Yes, Kali. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Because so my mom's dog is named after her.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah. And I didn't want to tell my mom that she's named after because when I first looked her up, it's because she comes up as the goddess of death.
Yes.
So I just told my mom, I'm like, she's a goddess. It's fine. It's
It's
Callie.
fine. Don't tell her that Kali has teeth in her vagina that rips off the men's penises when she's done with them. In Hindu tradition, she's the goddess of death and destruction. And so let's see. Basically, she is the ultimate protection from evil, and many witches call upon her to aid with protection spells, specifically protection spells.
Hmm.
She is a bit dark but powerful, and she's also a loving deity with a warm, mothering energy.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I had forgotten to say about Nyx, is that I physically feel love from her or about her when I think about her.
Yeah.
And that was something that came over a period of time just because of, whenever I would need her. One specific instance is I remember that there was this friend that I had that just was an arrogant prick, right? He was just a pain in the ass. And he just said something to me one day that was just so condescending. And I was looking at him like, did I just fucking hear what you said? And
Uh-huh.
you guys, I am not making this up. In my mind's eye, eyes were wide open and I was looking at him. In my mind's eye, I saw her and it was as spontaneous. It just happened.
Hmm.
Nyx jumped out of me, looked at him, and chopped his head off and was like, bitch, and then jumped back in me. And I was literally shocked. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Oh my god.
So yeah, she's powerful. She has two swords, and if I had
Oh,
two
okay.
swords, but her energy is very beautiful. So when I talk about, Kali, and I say that she is a warm, mothering energy, you really can feel that energy when you work with it with a dark goddess.
Yeah, yeah.
So her power and associations are that you would call upon her for self empowerment, transformation. Like all the other dark goddesses, she'll burn your life to the ground if she needs to, but she keeps your highest good in mind. So, she's freaking like the Tower card or Saturn. She basically dissolves all forms in your life, all things that don't serve you, and helps you rebuild from the ground up. Again, she's like the embodiment of the Tower card.
Okay.
She helps destroy your beliefs that you're not worthy or valuable. And it sort of forces you to be your most authentic self and find that deeper meaning or deeper love for yourself while learning to literally live as a human, or live in this 3D world. Um, she shows us that not all light is good,
Yeah.
but that not all darkness is bad. But I like that. She's like, yeah, not all light is good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
She's kind of fierce and fearsome, and so she's scary to those who, really, I think, aren't willing to face their own fears.
Oh,
That's where
yeah.
she can feel scary. Now, the other thing that she's really good for is helping you eliminate the blocks, what you consider to be blocks in your life.
Yeah.
So also call on her if you need help with like jealousy, pride, or unhealthy anger. She's a very good one. As a destructor goddess, she's often called upon by witches during times of transformation to willingly release beliefs and all that good stuff. And so she's also the goddess of self realization, and I said that before, but authenticity. If you want to contact her, get in touch with her through meditation, call her in, or by offering red hibiscus flowers, sweets, or rice and lentils.
Oh, she likes the foods.
The foods, right? So I have a little bottle, a vial. Actually, you might be able to see it behind me. No, you can't. And in that vial, I have black rice and hibiscus. It's the hibiscus
Oh.
leaves, the tea that you sent me.
Oh, cool.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I was very excited. All right, so the last dark goddess on this list is Sekhmet, and she is an Egyptian lioness goddess. Ashley is said that she calls her in and works with her. She's the goddess of the human body with a lion head.
Oh, okay. Yes, I've heard of her.
All right, and she is a destructress. She's also a deity of war, um, and she possesses an unmatched ferocity and an almost insatiable bloodlust. In one story, after winning a bloody battle, her rage just couldn't be contained. So the gods sent Ra to quell her bloodlust. And to do that, he turned the river Nile red and invited the great lioness to drink from it. Her thirst was quenched and she collapsed into a stupor. Fuck off. He got her drunk, right?
Right.
Dick. Let her go. Let her lust her blood. Um, Now, how would you work with Sekhmet? She call upon her when you have false truths that must be faced.
Oh.
She carries the heat of the desert on her breath and will help you surrender whatever you're ready to release to the fire. She is also teaches us that rage is not negative and it should not be suppressed. So channeling our rage into healthy ways,
Hmm.
to Sekhmet its power. She's an incredible ally if you need help focusing strong emotions like rage and anger, guiding you to channel your wrath in incredible or creative ways.
Okay.
Now, only call upon her if you have the time and capacity for her influence, because she doesn't really have time for those who aren't ready to go all in. She's another one who you don't want to call upon if you're flaky. And I don't mean flaky in a negative way. I just mean if you're like, I don't know. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like she's going to be like,
If you're lukewarm.
Lu- yes, thank you. Lukewarm.
Mhm.
All right. So those are just some of the dark goddesses out there. There are tons more. So
Yes.
doing your research will help you find the one that you want to work with, right? Okay.
Yes.
So once you know who you want to connect with because you've done the research, you've gotten to know them, then what? Then how do you invoke them?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Like I said, first do your research, look into the various myths around your dark goddesses to connect with their personality, learn about the symbols and the various struggles that she faced. Okay.
Okay.
Once you feel you're knowledgeable in sort of their history and mythological aspect, then you're going to want to leave an offering. Okay. And
Mhm.
again, there are some um, goddesses that you don't have to leave an offering to, but,
Yeah.
you know, even if it's something that you want to, like a flower or something,
Right.
make sure that this offering is something special to her and her preferences. So,
Yes.
definitely if those that require or like offerings, make sure that you know what that is. Um, and offerings don't have to be expensive. They can simply be something personalized. Like I said, a
Right.
flower that is specific will be much more impactful than a really expensive stone
Yes.
that's generic or has meaning. And honestly, you're putting it on your altar. So if you want to buy an expensive stone, that's on you, right? It's going to be
Sure.
yours anyway, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, and then you're going to want to invite them into your life slowly at first through meditation, dreaming, journaling, journeying, astral travel, divination, using the pendulum or the tarot.
Okay.
And then intentions and say, like just something that I say is, Nix and Kali, I call upon you now. I ask you to, help me with insight into blankety blank and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm. Yep.
And that's it. That's how you work with a dark goddess. It's like I said, it's no different than a spirit guide.
Sure. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's easy enough. Well, thank you. That was all wonderful information.
You're very welcome. It was fun to research.
Well, friends, that means it's time to say goodbye. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share on your stories, subscribe, and leave us a review. This helps our podcast grow. And if we grow, that means the ability to do this work grows with it.
Thank you for hanging out with us today. Stay mystical, magical, and don't let anyone tell you what to do.
Yeah, but don't take any advice from Zeus. Bye.
Bye.